I'm offering a series in Seattle, which is on the fundamentals of Dharma practice. And many people kind of bemoaned the fact that I was doing that, since I had just completed 2 years of the 4 foundations, which had taken them pretty far out there in the cosmos. Why was I coming back to first base, as they put it, or home plate? Well, because everything is built upon home plate. Everything. If we don't have the fundamentals, we don't have a foundation. And so to talk about the foundations before the fundamentals is almost in reverse order. The fundamentals, everything is built upon. And I have a variety of topics that I will continue to speak upon that. But the one that I wanted to mention today is staying within yourself. We hear that, and the higher aspirations of us might flinch and say, oh God, I can turn off to this. But I suggest that we better all stay tuned in. Just as if one of the fundamentals I spoke about was, and have spoken about in Seattle, is not avoiding the difficult. And that's an easier fundamental to see, because it's so obvious that we continue to do that, sometimes decades into our practice. And so something was missed in the fundamental when it was presented to us, even on day one. And that we think we have it. It's like your mother giving you your lunch and sending you off to school and telling you to be good. You don't really listen to it. But until you realize that life is really the posture of basic goodness. And then that fundamental teaching of your mother's comes back into way more significantly. And so doing, when I talk about staying within ourselves, we think we know that. And off we go, blithely. But through the interviews that I've had with many of you, it's real apparent that that's a missing fundamental. So what do I mean by staying within yourself? What do I mean by that? And then if you hear something that resonates, then we need to go there. So staying within yourself really has 2 components to it. And the first component is developing a stability of self sufficient to stay within, so that we have the ability to say no, to set boundaries, to establish our own reference, our own integrity, our own stability of confidence. And some of us have missed that because of the upbringing we have had. We feel very fluid in our stability. We don't really know where we are on any particular point of the graph. Now let me preface this by saying that being fluid sounds much more dharmic than the stability of confidence that I'm speaking about, but actually you can't get to fluidity until there's stability. To understand that. So what happens then is that when we have this sort of fluidity of really self-respect, because we don't know where we are or what we think, we just are governed by external authorities. Teachings are external authorities. Teachers are external authorities. Our peers and Sangha, whatever they're doing, we look to see, to find out what we should be doing. And we're just in movement based upon what we think the general description of the path needs, And then without any self-governance, without any tuning in to what we need, we just give ourselves over to whatever the authority tells us we need. And so it gets pretty treacherous as that goes on. And we look for approval. Because we don't have that sense of self-approval, we've bypassed it in the external conditions or forces. And the way approval looks when you meditate is how well you're meditating. The way it looks when it's given to a teacher is whether you think the teacher likes you or some other thing like that. We can just keep giving away our reference. And what happens is that the external authority is kind of calcified into kind of an internal authority that sounds very rigorous and moralistic in us. And so because we don't have any sense of self-bearing, or a little sense of self-bearing, that super-ego that we form, the shoulds and the musts and the have-tos, become our internal reference for what we must do. And now we have pulled the external authorities into our own internal authority, so that we have our own reference of what we need to do in every step of the way. And that is what we should do every step of the way. If we look at a good yogi, what they're doing, and therefore we have to replicate that. We have to imitate that. And so we're still missing that stability, that fiber of stability. But we've just now referenced it internally, the authority internally rather than externally. And given the histories that some of us have, it's certainly understandable where that internal authority has come from. But to find what in the Quakers, I think, call the still small voice or the still small guidance within, this external and internal authority must really be seen through. And many of us don't have the confidence of our own bearing to even challenge those authority figures, external and internal. We just concede to them. They've driven us, they've gotten us to where we wanted to be, and they made our life what we are. But in Dharma, this is not going to take us very far. It's going to get you to the pillow, it'll get you disciplined, it'll have you sitting better than everyone else. And at the end of your life, you'll be a great practitioner. And then you'll die. And that's not good enough. Hopefully. So what does it look like when we take this internal authority on and we look at these strong conditioned tendencies we have towards perfectionism or towards doing it right or towards the need to please? All of these historical issues of inadequacy and unworthiness and insufficiency, and how all of our Dharma practice and much of our behavior in general has been an offspring of those voices. And we've refused to listen to those voices because they've been the only thing that's given us any bearing, since we feel we don't have any without those inward voices. So the challenge now is up to you. That's a fundamental practice. In the East, the way they get to that is that they start you off in generosity and with integrity and generosity. And they train you on how generosity, you have to be able to say no, or else you would be homeless. You'd give everything away. So there's a way that integrity, the precepts, ethical conduct, and generosity build that inward tenor, that inward strength. But here we just want to go right to the emptiness and bypass all the mess. in the West. And so we have not developed the fundamental principle that's necessary in order to be seated within emptiness. So that's all I'm talking about now is the first level. There's another level down there. The next level down we go, the next stairs we take to the foundation of our practice is in the intuitive sense of knowing where and what we should be doing. And this takes the first level, the stability of self, the stability of consciousness to be in place, to be rooted. Or we'll be just listening to the super egoic shoulds for our direction. But as we come to understand that those directions are misguided, the shoulds and musts of our history, we then hear a tuning device within us that is an exact indication, an exact compass for the direction of our path. A few of us have that. Most do not. Most think we should be at the Forest Refuge because it's like the graduate school of meditation. It isn't tuned in as something that we need. It's something that we should do if we want to graduate from this, or to be seen as a graduate student. What is needed here? What do I need? What is the resonance for me? What do I see that's rising in me? And what's the right environment for me to deal with that? I don't look over and say, oh, I can't go to the retreat center anymore. It's too noisy over there. Noise may be the exact direction we need to go in order to stabilize our loneliness that we don't seem to be able to stabilize. Or it may be we have missed the guidance of moving towards the difficult, and so going towards a more active expression of life could be just the place to recover that direction. And a more active could be right back home in the midst of our life. But we stay tuned to this inward sense. And that's the guidance system. There is no other. It's not written anywhere because each of us are individual in what that guidance system is. You can't find it in a book. You can't find it reading the suttas. You can't find it from external authorities, and you certainly can't find it from your internal authority. This is an ear to the heart, step-by-step braille system of movement. What do I need to do now? And listening deeply to the essence of your being to discover that direction.